Hello, Merry Meet. So, I want to make a little video that I've been on a topic I've been asked about. And the question is, especially since we are getting to these Yule times, Yule time. I can't talk today, and I've had too many coffees. So, this time of year, people are looking for gift ideas for their friends, and they have been asking me, is it the best idea to buy a tarot pack like this? That is just basically comes with the deck and a little white book. Or like this, which I reviewed earlier today, a boxed set with a book and a deck. Which one is best to buy? And it's not usually that simple question because it really varies. Now, a few things that you should be aware of before making that decision. If you are looking for a gift, unless the one that you're giving a gift has requested a specific tarot deck, you know this is a deck they're looking for, and that doesn't have a boxed set, then these packs like this looks better in a gift pack. There's a reason why they have various forms for gift packs that are various forms for boxed sets. And especially if you are giving a deck to somebody who has never read the tarot before, box like this can be useful because you then get a book that has a little bit more meat in it when it comes to information on the cards. So it's much easier for that person to then take that box and start reading immediately. And that's good. So yeah, however, one thing you should also be aware of is that very, very often the books that comes in these kits are not that great. When you get, even if they might be several hundred pages, there's usually a limit of the information. First of all, usually you have a picture of the card of each card, so that you 78 of those pages are just pictures. The same pictures that you get in the deck. That is almost always the case. And sometimes they even pad it out even more by having the picture and then a blank page, so that basically you have a picture on one side of a sheet and then a blank page on the other, and then you pad it out even more, so that the amount of information you get usually isn't that good. Basically, while they can be useful, the books that comes in these sets, very often, not always, there are some great books that come along with decks, absolutely. But in the majority of cases, they are glorified little white books. They give you more information than a little white book will, but it is the same concept. It gives you a little bit more, you have a little bit more to go on, and these sets are great if you are a beginner. However, there are, like I said, you will almost always get a lot more useful information by getting an actual book on the tarot. Just basically go into Amazon and search for beginner tarot books and find one that has quite a few positive reviews and go with that. Then you will almost always get more useful information than you will get in the books that follow, that is a part of such a kit. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is that sets like this comes with a box. Now this box will not last forever. If you use them a lot, sooner or later the box will disintegrate, but they last for a while. I usually have, if it's a deck I use a lot, I usually have my boxes for a couple of years before I have to get a bag for the deck and replace it with. If you don't use the deck a lot, however, it can last for quite a few years before the box more or less disintegrates. So you have something to keep it in there. However, in boxed sets, you usually don't have it. You have the deck lying relatively loose in the confines of the bigger box. So you always have to add add a pouch. So that will add to the cost of the set. You have to have a tarot bag. No, it doesn't have to cost a lot. If you're doing sewing, for example, of some sort, then you can just use any piece of scrap clothes, and of course you can also use clothing that has a rip in it. And you can use another part of the clothes, or it's not that difficult to get some scrap clothes to sew a few bags from, but it's a thing to consider. Now, generally speaking, what I would recommend is that if you have the choice to buy a set instead of a loose deck, then usually it is better value for money. Because in the most cases where a deck is published both as a single deck and as a boxed set with the book, the box set is usually not that much more expensive than the deck itself. Usually they are within the same weight class, so that and I'm not talking boxing here, I'm talking shipping, so that it doesn't add a lot to the shipping cost, and it's usually not that many dollars difference. So basically, however, if if the difference in price is such that you could have gotten a dedicated tarot book for the difference, then I would rather go with the single deck and a tarot book than getting these boxed sets. Now, in most cases, if a deck is published as a boxed set, that's it, and you basically either published as a boxed set or they are published as loose decks, because the books generally doesn't do well alone, because look at the book as a bonus. You're buying the deck and you're getting the book as a bonus. And yeah. So it's really up to you. How do you value it? But remember, usually in this, they use a page alone to have a picture of the card. So you can look at the page count of the book, and you can just reduce that by 78 right off the bat. And and sometimes it's more, like I said. So you have to look at, is this book worth it? Now, there are, like I said, sets out there that has also books that follow along with it. And sometimes if it's a deck you really love, you want that book because collector's value, and it's just nice. For example, I really adore the Crow's Magic Tarot, but I got the single deck. I didn't even know there was a box set, and now I really, really, really want that book. Because, while I doubt it's that much better than any other of these books, I really love the deck, and then I want the book for it. Just because I want it. So you might keep that in mind as well. But yeah, my biggest recommendation is go for a tarot. Basically, don't go into the, oh, I can get this deck that, excuse me, my phone. Excuse me. My husband that wants something. Let me just put this one on silent. Sorry. Anyway, don't basically say, I am really connecting to this deck here, but it's just a single deck. But here we have a boxed set, and it's just a few dollars more, so I'll buy that because then I get a book as well. Because in most cases, the books are not basically full books. It's not a book that you will go out and buy on its own unless you find it in a bargain bin for $1 or something like that, because it's written to be an extra to the deck. It's not written to be a book in itself. So don't do that. Go for the deck that you like and that you connect to. And connecting to is the absolute most important part. I have told you the story, I think, of the deck I so wanted. It's the Barbara Walker deck. Basically, my first tarot book is one that in Norwegian is called the Big Book of Tarot. I'm not completely sure if that's the English name as well. But anyway, the example decks, one of them is the Barbara Walker. And I loved it. I loved the images. And when I finally found a Barbara Walker deck, I didn't connect with it at all. I don't think I have actually done divination with it more than a couple of times. It's been in my drawer dusting on it. It's very pretty, but not for me. So go for a deck that you connect to, and then if that deck has the option of getting it as a box set or just as a single, then you can start to make that consideration. If it's not very more expensive, if it's like $5 more or something like that, I would consider getting the box set, because you might want that book. And yeah, if it's not an enormous investment. But however, if you're getting into if it's more than that, then you're starting to think that you can get a decent tarot book for that money that you would spend extra. Then it's not worth it. If it's not much more, I would go for the set. If it is much more, I would not. Now, if you're going to shop for somebody else, and especially if it's somebody who have not read the tarot before, I would go for a boxed set. Well, because they make better gifts, they look more impressive, they make nice gifts, and also because you have everything that you need to start reading. You have the book, and while it's not the best book in the world, at least it usually gives a decent description of the cards. So yeah, the third thing that you might consider, if it's a very untraditional tarot card, then you can get into the same territory as with oracle cards. Like I've said, when it comes to oracle cards, you need the book, because then the only information that's available is the one that's in that particular book. And if it's a tarot card that uses very much the author's own symbolism, own system, then you might need it as well. So then you might want to go for that book. But for a standard tarot deck, I would go for what suits you first. And if they have both of the options, go for the set, unless it's more than $4 or $5 extra, in which case go for a single set and get a book. If it's for a gift, get the nice boxed set. It makes a nice gift, and it's also especially if you're getting it for somebody who haven't read the tarot before. So yeah, that's what advice I can give for that. It is not something that matters a lot, but keep in mind those books are seldom as good as the books that are sold on their own. They are extras for the deck and nothing more. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Have a great day, and blessed be.